Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what time you're watching this. This is Do It Yourself Dad. Welcome back to my channel. It is a beautiful day here in North Carolina. But Dad, I thought you lived in Texas. Well, that's one of the reasons why I haven't posted a video in a while. We have moved across the country and it's just been an absolutely hectic year with me traveling and with work and then starting a new job and moving across the country. So hopefully we'll be able to start pumping out some more content now that it's kind of settled down. But we are here in North Carolina now, and we are going to do a project on our new house. So let's jump right into it. All right, so for this project, let's go over the main components that we're going to need. By the way, I'm by far a professional at this. This is actually my first attempt, but I did do a lot of research, and this is what I've come up with. So for my house, I've measured everything, and what I'm gonna need, I'm actually gonna need 6 rolls of LEDs. These are 16 foot long, WS2812B. Each 16 foot roll has 300 LEDs, so we're looking at about 1,800 LEDs. So I got the BTF lighting, and these are actually very nice. IP65, they got a little waterproof coating on them. The only part that's not waterproof is the connectors here, which we may or may not even use. We may use just the ones that are inside the box here, but we'll get to that later. Next, you're going to need a power supply. These LEDs are 5 volts, by the way, so we got a 5-volt power supply. This one's just a cheap one from China. I think I paid 20 bucks for it. It comes just like this in just like a very generic box. So there's no cable or anything that comes with it. So to connect this to power, you're going to need like an old cable for like an old TV or a computer monitor. And what you'll do is you'll just clip the ends off here. And if you look here, you have line, neutral, and ground. So the line, that's your hot wires, black. Your neutral is white, and your green is the ground. So that's how you'll connect this. And once you have them connected there, you'll just plug this in into your outlet. So that covers power. And then to control them, the controller that I've gone with here is the Quinn LED Dig Quad. Some people call it a Digi Quad. I'm not really sure why, because the guy that created them calls them a Dig. So I guess someone just decided they want to change it. It's an ESP32 here. Uses a USB-C data cable. So this is what I'm going to go with. It's got 4 ports on it. So they have a Dig Uno and a Dig Quad. A Dig Uno only has 1 channel. This one has 4. And this will be good enough for an entire house. The Dig Uno would be like for like a prop or something you have in your yard. You may be able to do your whole house with the Uno, but I'm not going to try it. This one has an external antenna. I'm not super impressed with the range on it. My biggest concern right now is the range, actually. So when I plug it in, sometimes the Wi-Fi will show up, sometimes it won't. So I'm a little concerned with that. If I ended up not liking it, it's not a really huge deal. We can disconnect this board right here. It just pulls right off, and we can change it out for one with the Ethernet port on it. So we may end up doing that in the future. But like I said, this is a Quinn LED Dig Quad board. So we have your power coming in, your negative here, and then we have data coming out as green. I've connected all these cables, by the way. It doesn't come with the cables connected. So the data is in green. Your power here in red. You see all our ports here for red, and then our grounding wires right here, and then we have 2 here on the side. So that will be controlling the entire light show. And then of course, you're gonna need lots of cable. Because these strips are so long, we're gonna need to inject power along the way. So we have a 2-core right here. I'm using 18 gauge for everything. So 18 gauge to supply power, 18 gauge to inject power. And we'll go over all that in a little bit. So that's my power injection wire right here. And this one right here is to send, this is a 3 conductor wire. So we got a green for our data right here. So we'll be using that one. I got 100 feet of each. If I run out of power injection, I can always use this to power inject if I need to. And then of course we've got a box here to store our power supply and then to store our controller. And I'm planning on putting this in the garage. So that'll be for that. Also our channels here that the LEDs will sit in and the diffusers. So I went with a deep channel because I was going to try to run some of the power injection wire in there if I can. We'll see how that works out. And it's got the milky white diffuser to blend the LEDs together. So this comes in 3 feet, and then also this one right here is 6 feet long. That's what these are. And they sit, the channels will, you basically screw these little brackets to your house, and then the channels will kind of clip into them. So that is the main things that you'll need for this project. If I forgot anything, I'm sure we'll pick it up along the way. So, oh, and by the way, stay tuned for the next video. I'll do a breakdown of all the costs and everything of this. I don't want to do it on this video because if I come up with extra costs, I want to be able to include it. So we'll do a price breakdown in the next video. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so I'm not going to go super deep into how to set this up, but I'm using WLED software. And this is kind of what it looks like. You can do this on your phone as well, but I can't record it like that. So here are your colors here, and you can do different like color palettes, right? So you click on one and it changes the colors there. And then you can go to different effects, and then it'll do different things. So that's a blink. Let's try this one here. There we go. And basically you just play around with it, changing the effects and then the colors. Here's a good one for Christmas. It's called Candy Cane. One note in the setup, you go to configurations here, your LED preferences. If you have different channels right here, so you got your data cables right here. I have 4 of them, so each of these spools are on a different channel. So you're in here, your GPIO for your channel 1 is 16. For channel 2 it's 3. Channel 3 it's 1. And channel 4 it's 4. If you don't have those set correctly, here I'll just change one just so you can see. There, we'll take it out and I'll save it and you'll see what I'm talking about. There, let's change it to 2. See how this one's stopped working? See how the other ones are moving and this one's not working because it's on the wrong GPIO. So if you don't have them set correctly, when you first turn them on, your lights won't even light up at all. So just a heads up, you need to have those set correctly. And also another thing that you'll have to have set correctly, see I changed it back and now it's working, is how many LEDs you have in your channel. Each of these is 300, so each channel right now has 300. That'll change whenever I actually set them up. And you have to make sure that your LED order is correct. The order of my LEDs for the BTF is GRB. Some of them, so it's green, red, blue. Some of them are RGB, but these specific ones are GRB. So it's not a huge deal. You'll just get the wrong colors whenever you go to try to set things. Like when I initially set it up, I had it as RGB, and I did the candy cane, and they were green instead of red. So that's kind of what you'll get. So just make sure you have that set correctly. You're not going to hurt anything if it's set wrong. You'll just get the wrong colors. So that's kind of just a little bit. You know, I'm not going to go into any of this other stuff, but that's just kind of how the WLED software looks, and a little bit about setting it up. The main setup, I'll let you watch another video on that, because it was a little difficult for me. That's really the hardest part. I don't really want to try to explain it. I ended up having to reflash WLED on my controller board here because it wouldn't work out of the box. It's supposed to work straight out of the box, but mine didn't. So I had to reflash it, and the Quinn LED guy has his own YouTube channel, and he explains all that way better than I could ever. And another note, I changed some of these fuses here to 10 amp. They come with 5 amp fuses. So I changed some of them to 10, and that's what's recommended if you're going to be hooking up a bunch of LEDs, which I am going to be. So I went ahead and did that. So just another note. Okay, so first thing I need to do is decide how I'm going to route my wires and where I'm going to get power from. So I think I'm just going to have them all kind of bundled up in here, tucked behind there, and drill a hole from here all the way through into the garage, run some conduit, and then we'll come into the garage. The conduit will come out somewhere up here, and we'll mount the box around here in this unused area. And we're gonna have to install a new outlet up here to plug in the power supply, and we can tap into this outlet here. Okay, so basically what I've done so far is, obviously, of course, first thing is safety, is I turned the power off. I verified it with my multimeter here. Figured out where I wanted it to go, cut a hole, ran the line. I cut a cheater hole right here, I guess for ease, and I'm glad I did, because there's a plywood right there. And so we're gonna have to just go through this little installation, because that's where the other one is running through, right here. And so we'll just go through here, and we'll run the other one, the other wire that we've already run through here, which is this one. We'll run this through here, and we'll just tap into that outlet right there. All right, so we're up here. So basically, I just ran my wire into my new box, and when I start tightening these screws, this thing will pop up, and it'll just kind of hold it into place. And then I can go ahead and wire my outlet and put the cover on, and it should be good then. That should be the end of that part. Okay, so I have sprayed insulation in there to cover up the holes. I had to make a new hole for the new wire that I ran, and then fill in the old hole because I picked the stuff off of it. So next thing is to patch this hole right here. If you were tapping in from an outlet that was already here, obviously you wouldn't need to do this, but since the outlet was on the other side and we had to go through this plywood, To get to it, we had to cut a hole open. So as you can see, when I was cutting the hole, I went in at an angle, and the reason why I did that was because I can put this piece back and it's almost like perfect fit, and it holds pretty good without even doing anything. But we're just gonna put some putty on there and make it look like it was never even cut through. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so that's kind of what it's gonna look like. The cool thing about this spackling is it starts pink, and when it turns white, you know it's dry. So when it turns white, we'll sand it down, put another coat on if we need to, and then paint it up. We have all the paint left over because this is a newly built house, so the contractor left paint from all the different colors that they put in the house. So yeah, we'll let this dry, sand it down. If we need to put another coat on, we will, and then paint it, and then we're done with that part of this project. Let's go. Okay, so next we're gonna decide how we're gonna lay out the LEDs. So we're gonna have a strip going across there. If we have enough, we're gonna do these bottom ones right here that go across, right here and right here. But we're gonna go up and down, and then up and down, and then we're gonna have a branch right here that goes over there. So now we know where we're gonna put them. We may even go across here, I'm not sure yet, but we'll see when we're done. So we know that we're gonna have a power wire going and feeding the data and the power into one side, and then power injection from the other side, so it has enough power. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna just run the wires down behind the gutter here. And then the only modification that I'm hoping to do is put a hole here going into the garage. And hopefully that's the only modification that I need to do. So we decided to do the hole back here to keep it away from the weather, and also just to have a nice front profile. When people are walking up, they don't see a hole in the side. We're gonna try to cover it up as much as possible, but we'll see how it turns out. All right, so the conduit that I'm gonna be using is 3/4 inch inner diameter, and the outer diameter is like 1 1/16 inches. So I had a hole saw here, it's 1 1/4 inch hole saw, and so it's just a slightly larger than my conduit, so it should be able to slide through the hole no problem. I've never done this before, and I don't even know if this is the correct way to do it, but this is how I'm going to do it. So I have a piece taped off, and I'm going to put some pressure on it as to not tear up the siding, and I'm just going to zip right through here, because behind the siding is a piece of plywood, so the hole saw should get through the vinyl siding and through that plywood, and then that should be able to see the drywall from the other side. So let's go ahead and zip that hole right there, and then we'll go from there. All right, so the hole saw actually worked really well, and then now this goes all the way through. So what I'll do now is I'll seal all this up with some clear sealant, and we'll be able to run some wires through there. All right, let's take a quick look at my box here. I got this off Amazon. It was like 50 bucks. I probably could have gotten much less expensive one, but the bigger the box, obviously, the more it's gonna cost. And also this one came with the backboard here where I can mount electronics to, so I can mount my controller and my power supply, and have it look nice and neat. So let's go ahead. This is IP68 box, which means it's waterproof. Probably it's not super important because it's going to be in the garage, but let's go ahead and get our connectors where we're going to run the wires through. We've got to drill some holes in this box and fit these. So let's go ahead and get that done. I'm going to take this backboard out so we can mount the electronics to a little bit later. And we can go ahead and mount this to the wall in the garage, and that part will be done. So when it's time to put up the lights, this will already be taken care of. So. Okay, so there we are. The box is all mounted up. It's right there at my outlet that I installed for this project. And then we got the conduit coming out of the wall up there. If we can get focused. Come on, focus. There we go. So we'll just run the wires through there, maybe in some conduit to make it look nice, and then down into here. It is a little high up, so I definitely need a ladder to get onto it, which isn't super convenient, but this was unused space. And also, when you're looking for a box, make sure you get one with latches on it, because there were some boxes that were pretty cheap, or inexpensive, I should say, and they just had Phillips head screws to hold the lid on, and I like that. So get you one with some nice latches on it. Door opens nice and wide. Okay, so now we got the box mounted. I went ahead and mounted the power supply and then the controller board. You can see I got the antenna coming out of the top. And I got it plugged into this remote control outlet. I got it from Harbor Freight. You can also get Bluetooth ones, but I think it was like 20 bucks for one Bluetooth one, and I got 3 of these for 20 bucks. So when I start setting up the rest of my Christmas decorations, I can control all 3 of them. So basically, you know, you don't want it on all the time. So there you go, push the button and now it's on. So now all we gotta do is just run the wiring from the lights to the controller, which will be next week. All right, so that pretty much does it for the planning and the preparation. Hope some of it helped you. If you do this same project, you might not have to do some of the stuff that I did, but it was just the way that my house is laid out and the way that I wanted to run the wires and stuff. So you may have to do it differently. So next week we're going to get into actually putting the lights up. I'm going to need a boom to get up to the peak right there. It's about 30 feet up. So I'm going to need a way to get up there safely, and we're going to be working with 2 hands, so I'd rather not do it on the ladder. So I got the equipment rented for next week. Hopefully it will get done the weekend if we have nice weather, and we'll get into all that good stuff on the next video. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.